We all think we know the story of Anne Boleyn's execution. A queen, accused of treason, meeting her end with quiet dignity. But that's just a sliver of the truth. The reality was a far darker, more calculated campaign of psychological torment, public humiliation, and political theater. Let's uncover the story you were never told. By May 19, 1536, Anne Boleyn was a prisoner in the Tower of London. This was the same fortress where she'd once celebrated her upcoming coronation, now transformed into a place of suffocating dread. For days, she was held in isolation, her mind trapped in a nightmarish limbo. Every sunrise brought the same agonizing question: will today be the day? This wasn't just a waiting period. The delays, the false alarms, the deliberate prolonging of her ordeal. It was all part of the plan. Time itself was weaponized. By keeping her in a state of constant uncertainty, Henry VIII and his advisors ensured that Anne was living her own execution in her mind long before the scaffold was even built. This was psychological warfare, designed to dismantle her spirit, piece by painful piece. The charges against her were, frankly, absurd. Adultery, incest, a conspiracy against the king. In any modern court, they'd be laughed out of the room. But in 16th century England, power didn't need proof. It created its own reality. The story of her guilt was more important than the truth. Every detail of her life was twisted into a weapon against her. They even declared her own daughter, Elizabeth, illegitimate, all part of a relentless campaign to erase Anne's influence from history. Her final days were a masterclass in manipulation. She was given small comforts, like fine meals and her choice of clothing. But these were just cruel reminders of what she was about to lose. She prayed. She read scripture. She prepared her soul for death, but always under the watchful eyes of her jailers. Observers noted her outward calm, even her moments of laughter and dark humor. What they saw as incredible bravery. Modern psychology might call dissociation a defense mechanism her mind created to shield her from the unbearable terror of her situation. It was a fragile barrier, the mind's last stand against overwhelming fear. On the day of her execution, the atmosphere in the Tower of London was electric with tension. A select crowd of courtiers, guards, and witnesses gathered. The scaffold was built deliberately low, keeping Anne at eye level with the audience. This was no accident. It denied her any symbolic elevation, any shred of queenly dignity. It made her more visible, her suffering more public, her humiliation more complete. Every detail was meticulously designed to scream one thing: the absolute power of the king. When the moment came, Anne's final speech was a tightrope walk of careful calculation. She addressed the crowd with composure, acknowledging the law without ever admitting guilt. It was a subtle act of defiance, cloaked in the language of obedience. She couldn't speak freely. She knew every word would be reported back to the king, and her daughter's safety hung in the balance. Even at the brink of death, her voice was censored by political necessity. The execution itself, carried out with a single, swift strike of a French swordsman's blade, was just the final act in a long, drawn-out performance. It wasn't about mercy. It was political theater at its most brutal. From the imported executioner to the placement of the witnesses, every element served to reinforce the king's ultimate authority. The crowd wasn't just watching. They were participants in a spectacle that blurred the line between justice and state-sanctioned murder. After her death, the campaign to erase Anne from the world went into overdrive. Her portraits were burned, her personal emblems were chiseled away from palace walls, and even speaking her name became a dangerous act. Silence became the new language of survival at court. The psychological fallout was immense. Her ladies-in-waiting, who had served her faithfully, were left with a legacy of fear, grief, and trauma. Some fled court life entirely. Others were haunted by nightmares for the rest of their lives. And then there was Elizabeth. Not yet 3 years old, she was declared illegitimate, stripped of her royal status, and cast into a precarious existence. The consequences of her mother's execution rippled outward, touching everyone who had been close to her, reshaping the very dynamics of power and survival in Henry's court. This wasn't a private tragedy. It was a political maneuver with devastating human costs. The story of Anne's final days offers a chilling look at the mechanics of state power. It's a case study in how to control perception, enforce obedience, and manipulate historical memory. Through repetition, narrative control, and the ruthless elimination of dissent, power can shape what an entire nation believes. Truth becomes a casualty, and reality is molded to fit a political agenda. Examining Anne's ordeal also gives us incredible insight into the human mind under extreme pressure. Her dissociation, her strategic compliance, her use of humor as a defense, these aren't just historical footnotes. They are powerful examples of human resilience and adaptation in the face of unimaginable circumstances. Her story fascinates us centuries later because it embodies the complex, brutal dance between authority, cruelty, and the will to survive. Anne's story forces us to question the simplified, sanitized versions of history we're often taught. It reveals the hidden psychological dimension of political power, where public perception and private torment are deeply intertwined. Her death wasn't just the end of her life, it was the climax of a campaign to rewrite memory and assert total control over the narrative itself. Ultimately, Anne's legacy is defined not by her death, but by the sheer resilience of her story. Despite the systematic attempts to erase her, her life and her struggles persist. Her experience challenges us to ask critical questions. How is history recorded? Who gets to control the story? And how does the manipulation of perception shape our world? Her final moments, stripped of all the romantic myths, show a woman navigating a system designed to destroy her, both in body and in memory, with astounding composure. The tale of Anne Boleyn is a powerful reminder that history is often a carefully curated performance, where the truth is buried under layers of spectacle and propaganda. By confronting the full, harrowing reality of her final days, we recognize the human cost of political calculation and the enduring impact of a state-controlled narrative. Her voice, though they tried to silence it, echoes through the centuries, a testament to the human capacity for both profound cruelty and unbreakable survival. Thank you for joining me on this deeper dive into history. If you found this story as compelling as I do, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next exploration into the hidden corners of the past.